it is. What's happening? Just fired up the rollback to go pick some stuff up. But I had somebody on my TikTok ask me, how many vehicles do you own? 31 that are running and drive. Well, let me rephrase that. 31 that out of that 31 run and drive or are projects. Then there's 14 parts vehicles. So I thought that'd make a pretty interesting video for the YouTube channel today. Let's run through a couple of them real quick. Actually, let me spin you around, that way you can look at them. You don't need to look at my ugly face, do you? So starting at the top of the list is my daily driver. 96 F-150 with a 5.8 four-wheel drive. Nothing much to really talk about. It's just a daily driver, pickup truck. Everybody needs a pickup. I bought that about 3 years ago. And you know, in 3 years, the only thing I've done to it is a set of tires, which are crap. I bought them used and they got flat spots in them, but I only drive around town or local, and I put a starter on it. That's it in 3 years. I'm actually coming up on 4 years, actually. Pretty good. It's got a little bit of rust around the wheel well. It's got a little spot in the cab corner, but that's it. It's got a really clean interior. I keep a blanket on the seat. It's got ice cold air, but I use it. This truck gets used. It's full of crap now. Second on the list would be this 96 Eddie Bauer Bronco. Everybody loves a Bronco, right? Not a hateful truck. This is actually a truck that I did on the YouTube channel itself. I called this thing Bronco Cheapskate. Why'd I call it Bronco Cheapskate? I paid $500 for the truck in the beginning. It's a 5.8 four-wheel drive, obviously. It's got 2-inch lift on it, 33s. I did all the ball joints, brake lines, shock towers. This thing's only got 140,000 on it, and it drives absolutely perfect. Does have some rust around the wheel wells. Eventually I'm going to fix them, and that's why I'm building this other Bronco to beat on. This thing actually really drives really well. New fuel tank, new fuel pump. Next on the list is the 92 Knight. I shared this on the channel a little bit. This is the one that I've re-drilled all the rotors and the axles for, which I have not installed yet. I will be doing a upcoming video when I install the axles and the rotors, which are all re-drilled to change the bolt pattern. I did lower this truck. It's got drop beams in the front and flip the axle in the rear. I'll be doing some more. This is a 5.0 5-speed. It is a Knight. It is a flare side. Now the Knight package is really nothing crazy. It's that stripe. It says Knight on the tailgate and it says Knight on the dash. Everything's blacked out. You know, black door handles, window trim, yada yada yada. This is actually a pretty nice little pickup. It's a pretty low budget truck, really. Stick, roll up windows. I've got another seat that I'm going to put in it, and I've got new carpet for it. And I got to do some work to that door. Don't shut right. This is a nice little truck. 76 F350 Ranger XLT. You know, I said that, Ranger. 390 4-barrel, factory air. If you notice, it has all the trim. This truck was like the cat's meow in its day. Holmes 500 Wrecker body on it. And if you follow me on my channel, you know that I have a thing for old Wreckers. I think there's 6 of them here now, and I just bought another one that I'll be dragging home next week. This is a run and driving truck. As you can see, it just needs some love. The plan for this truck is not to restore it, but actually just bring it back and kind of preserve it, keep it the way it is. You know, it needs a normal thing, brakes, the rubber piece put back on the front of the bumper. I think I'm going to paint the bed because it just needs some love. I want to fix the bed. I don't want it to get any rustier. Just clean it up, make it a working truck, put 6 new tires on it, and go through it. It's really all I want to do with it. Factory carpet. Like I said, it's an AC truck. It's got the deluxe door panels. I'm going to put a headliner in it. I'm going to do some stuff to it, but I'm not going to go crazy. I want to keep it pretty much as original as possible. And just, you know, clean the bed up, like I said, and paint it. Mind you, we're only down at the bottom of the driveway here. This, for guys who don't know, is what they call an N series. This is a 66 N series. So it's an N500. It's got a 306 cylinder in it. I've always wanted one of these trucks. I don't really have a use for this big clumsy thing. I really don't. I bought it more or less because I like it. And I'm into this body style pickup trucks. If you notice, like if I put this here, from there back is the same as a pickup, but the nose is totally different. I actually have a 65 Wrecker up here. It's a Ford, same body style. That's a 65 F600, 331, 2-speed rear. It's got a Holmes 500 Wrecker on the back of it. It's a little rough around the edges. It runs, it drives. It don't have any brakes, so let me just rephrase that. It runs and moves, but it has no brakes. Then I have another 65 F350 Wrecker. That actually does run, but it's pretty rough. Then I got this Chevy van, 1980 Chevy window van. And this is actually called a Bowville. Now, what's kind of funny about this van, I put a motor in this van. I've done all the brakes and tires and wheels, and it just sits here. But I belong to a car club, and a lot of guys in the club have gotten into vans. I bought this thing. I really wanted a Ford van. I really wanted a 70 Ford van, which I have inside the shop. But the reason I bought this van is my dad was a van guy, and my dad had a 74 Chevy van, which was identical to this one. So I kind of had to pretty much buy this thing. So next on the list is this 79 Ford Ranchero, which is kind of a neat car. It's got 42,000 original miles. Documented on the title, which is cool, but unfortunately it took a hard hit on the driver's side. 351 Windsor car, FMX trans, power window, power lock, tilt, cruise, AC. It's a really cool car. It's a rust-free car. As you can see, it took a hit. I'm in the process of fixing it. I actually got all the suspension done. I bought a radiator support for it out of South Dakota, and I got the fender here. And I stopped working on it because I lost the damn title. But I actually just found the title, so all is well and good again in the world. Got everything to put it back together. Like I said, it's a really nice car. The plan for this car is just to really just drive it. In fact, I'm not even going to paint the fender. I'm going to put the fender on the car, put it in primer, put the nose on the car, and drive it. Just for now. Maybe later on I'll paint it. The whole car really is going to need to be painted, and I really don't know if I want to spend the money. It's got a dent in this quarter from the accident. I'm going to try to push most of that out and just live with it. And I got a 58 Bird that I bought. Kind of a neat story. Came out of Hazleton, Pennsylvania, actually right in the town of Hazleton. The guy that owned it owned it's 58, a 59, and a 60. He restored the 58. He was in the middle of restoring the 60 when he passed away. So I'm assuming his plans were to redo this car as well. The motor was rebuilt. It's all together. And I think the trans has been rebuilt as well because it's super clean and it's got a date written on it. It's got some rust, and the typical rust in the wheel well. A little bit on the rocker. But the car is not really a hateful car. I didn't pay much for this car. I just had to go get it. It's a roll-up window car. It does have power steering, but that's the only option it has. It doesn't have anything else. But it's actually a pretty decent car. I've owned the car for about a year now. So I really just need to get in it and put the motor in it and get it running. Got a little Toyota pickup over there. That's a huge project. I had a bunch of these when I was younger with small block Chevys in them, and that was kind of the plan for this truck. But the front of the frame is in bad shape. Not rusted, it was in an accident and it's kind of bent up. So I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do as far as fixing that little truck yet. But it's on the list of 900 projects. And I know a lot of people ask me about this big boy. I've owned this truck for a long time. This truck is my mud truck. It's a toy, obviously. It's got 44s. It's got a 460 C6 trans. It's got GM 14 bolt rear in the back, Dana 60 up front. It's got 513s with lockers in it. It's got Dana 70 outer front, high alloyed shafts in the front, crossover steering. Motor's got some work done to it, but the motor's a little tired. It's had a lot of hits on it. Pretty fun truck. I'll do some more videos on this truck down the road because I know a lot of people ask about this truck. A lot of people are really interested in it. I did not make the bumpers. A lot of people ask me, where did I get the bumpers? The front bumper. It was on the truck. I bought this truck. It was a project. This truck's actually a 1980, and it's got a 96 bed on it, and it's got a 90 front end on it. This truck was somewhat of a together when I got it, but it was a basket case, and I tore the whole thing all the way apart, all the way down to frame rails about 15 years ago, and just went through the entire truck. I don't know who widened the wheels, because I actually got the wheels came with the truck. Was a roller when I got it, and that's how I got it. So the wheels were already, they're just stock 16.5 wheels that have been widened. Really nice job whoever widened them. I don't know who did them, but they came with the truck when I bought it. Like I said, it was a roller, and it was a basket case, and I put it together. So the bumpers came with it. I don't know who made them or where they were bought from or anything, but I get a lot of questions about the bumpers. And again, I'm going to go over some of this stuff if guys are interested. I'm just kind of doing a quick walk around video because some people ask what kind of junk I own. 2002 International Rollback. Not much really to talk about there. It's just one of my, right now it's a spare truck. I need to do some work to it and get it back on the road. I bought it because my little F350 that I run, or F450, I'm sorry, it's only got an 18-foot bed. So I can't haul a 4-door, 8-foot bed pickup on the 450. So I bought that International to have with that. This little guy here is a 84 Chevy square body with a Holmes 1200 Commander twin line winch on the back. I use this truck around here. It looks like a junkyard truck with all the trash on the back, but I use this around here, pull motors, pick stuff up, push cars in and out of the shop. I use it for a workhorse. Cut trees down on the property. I use this thing. I use this thing for everything. I mean, there ain't this. I actually probably honestly use this truck twice a week. No lie. And these other vehicles you see around here, they're customer vehicles. The Chevy trucks are customers. This Infinity's getting a motor. Lightning's getting a rear. Now the Toyota down there, that belongs to me. The little Toyota 4Runner I bought about, I think it's been 6 years ago now. I lifted it 4 years ago. It's got a 5-inch rough country lift in 33. It's got a brand new 22R. I was driving it pretty much every day for a while, and then I kind of stopped. Just kind of stopped driving it. I don't really know why. I think I stopped driving in the summer when I bought the red and white truck over there, because that doesn't have AC. And the problem around here is I want to take the top off, but the problem around here is we'll get 2 beautiful days in a row, and then we'll get rain. So I don't have all my inside space is used up. So I don't have anywhere inside or under cover that I can keep the thing. Now that's going to be a problem because this here is the second Bronco that I'm actually in the midst of building. The motor's done. I just got the motor back together if you're following the channel. I just got a handful of stuff delivered the other day for this thing. This is another 96 Eddie Bauer Bronco, identical to the one down the driveway, except this one's a little rougher around the edges. This does have a 4-inch lift on it, long radius arms in the front. It's got full lift springs in the rear, no blocks. But as you can see, it's got some crust around the wheel wells. The door don't match. It's actually been laid on the side. You can actually see the quarter's got a dent and some road rash. Some road rash on the fender. It does run, but it's got a blown head gasket, cracked head or something. It just pumps antifreeze right out the exhaust. So the plan for this truck, because this truck will be on the channel and I will be doing stuff on it. Right now the plan is the motor's together, so I'm putting a low mileage 5.8 back in it. The motor's all resealed, painted up, ready to go in the truck. I'm going to put a motor in it. Got to put shock tires in it, all the brakes, brake lines, and all that jazz. Get the brakes working. I got to put a windshield in it, which I'll pay somebody to do that. I ain't doing that. Windshield is broke, probably from when it laid on its side. Go get it tagged. Once I get it tagged, I'm going to bring it back. And the doors are coming off of it, the top's coming off of it. I think we're going to fix the rust around the wheel well. We're going to cut this lower quarter on an angle. Going to lose that bumper. Going to lose all the interior. So it's going to have 2 seats. And this truck's going to be a driver, wheeler, rock climber, whatever. It's going to get a set of 35s. I may do a set of cutouts. I haven't decided. That's where my problem lies. I don't know if I want to do cutout fender wells or fix the rust. It does need a radiator support, and I am going to put a passenger side fender on it because the fender's kind of beat up. And I'm going to paint the truck white. But this is going to be, this will be on the channel. I'm going to share this truck on the channel. This truck here, I bought, that bed actually just sitting on it. That bed doesn't go there. And it's not a real dually. Somebody put a dually rear in it. But it's an F250 with a 460. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. This pile of crap here is a Power Stroke truck with no rears in it. I just really bought it for the motor. Then there's another 65. You see the trend here? I kind of have a thing for these trucks and these OBS trucks. This one here is one I bought that had a bad motor. I put a motor in it. It's a runner driver now. I just got to do the title work on it. It's got some rust on around the wheel well and a little on the cab. Actually, that's gotten work. Here I bought, it's got a bad trans. That truck there's got a bad 460 and no trans. Actually, this is the, I don't like the term rat rod, but on the channel, I've been sharing a little bit of this truck. It is the 75 F350 Wrecker. I put floors in it, put cab supports in it, both sides. It's getting a 7.3 diesel with a ZF 5-speed, and I'm going to put a Crown Vic front suspension under it, and I'm going to also put either the 8.8 rear out of the Crown Vic, or I've got a 9-inch that I may cut out of this parts car here, this Ranchero. I haven't quite decided what rear I want to use in this thing yet. And this, obviously this truck's getting lowered. That was the whole point of this build, was build something a little different. Going to leave the truck, obviously put the doors and fenders back on, but leave the truck exactly how you see it. And then obviously it'll be lowered. And then we're either going to flat clear it or clear it. I ain't decided what I want yet. And then got a guy that's going to letter it all up and make it look like the lettering's been on there for 40 years with my name and all on the doors, and just kind of go to car shows and enjoy it. See all kinds of weird stuff at car shows, so, but why not? I just drug this beauty in here, and again, if you see the trend, I like these body style trucks. This is I didn't get a title with this, so it's a parts truck. It's either a 65 or 66. And the reason I know it's one of the two is because it's twin I-beam. So if it were 64, 63, or any of that, it would not be twin I-beam, it would be solid axle. It's a little crusty. It's still savable. Not quite sure what I'm going to do. And of course, my little 84 Chevy Wrecker with a no-bar unit on the back. No-mar, in case you didn't understand that. It does have what's called a K-bar wheel lift. I'm not using it right now. I just got it folded up. Parts van. Real crusty parts Toyota. And then there's all this shit back here is customer cars, believe it or not. Just customer cars. Jeep with a noisy motor. Rust I got to fix on this Jeep. Needs a floor pan in the side of this body. Buddy of mine's Ranger. You can pretty much see why it's here. Boom. Mini Cooper needs a engine. This rollback is just a parts truck. It's pretty well clapped out. Got another parts Bronco, customers parts Nissan. Looks like I probably ended up with this gold car because the guy died on me. And don't know what to do with it. And I got a couple more parts trucks. And then I got this F-250 here. 5.0 AOD trans. It's a running, actually it's got a fresh motor in it. Put a motor in it a couple years ago with intentions of making it a daily driver. And then I bought that red and white one. So I've been driving the red and white one ever since, and this thing just kind of sits here. I either need to finish it up, sell it, or finish it up and use it, do something with it. But this sitting here crap's got to stop. Then there's another 66 F100. It's actually a really nice truck. Got some plans for it. I have plans for everything around this place. So I'll do something with this. I have an idea. I'm not going to share it on the channel just quite yet because I don't want heads to explode. Dodge trucks customers, Nissan's customers. This is my good buddy Rhett. It's on its you know, you guys that love GMs, that toilet is, and that's what it is a toilet. It's even porcelain white. That's on its like 6th motor. Parts Toyota. I already said that. Parts Bronco. Then there's another parts van. I got some Dana 60 rears and Dana 50 rear laying there. Another parts van. And then we'll go inside the building here in a minute and talk about the junk inside. This is half of a car. A buddy of mine, he was going to make a couch out of it. And there it sits. So let's take a walk inside. So now we made it into the shop. I'll share a few things that I got inside the shop. Now, for some of the guys that are new to the channel, I'm not bragging. I'm not going, ooh, look at all the stuff I got. Somebody simply asked a question, and I was answering the question. It was easier to do a video, since some of the guys that follow my channel enjoy seeing this crap, junk. So I figured I'd do a video and just show some of the junk that I have and projects and stuff. I'm not bragging about it. Anybody can have as much of this junk as I have. I work 40-hour work week just like everybody else. I do side work in my shop at home. This is my home shop. I do side work here. Yes, I own a tow truck. Yes, I own a couple rollbacks. I used to be in business. I used to own a towing business. I've got out of it, and I kept a couple trucks and all the tools and equipment because I still do side work. So I work as a mechanic during the day, and then I do side work, such as the truck that's behind me right now. This is a, I'm not even sure what year it is, honestly. It's a Chevy Avalanche, you know, LS motor, 5.3 aluminum block motor. It's getting cam and lifters and an oil pump and fixing a bunch of broken bolts where the exhaust manifold's bolted to the head. It's the kind of stuff I do here in the shop, and I share it on the channel. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm trying to brag or be something that I'm not. I'm just a broke person just like everybody else. I pay bills. I have kids. I got a mortgage. I got a truck payment. I'm just like the rest of America. I just go out and I buy junk, and I have a place to keep junk. I bought this house to do what I'm doing. Live in the neighborhood, you're not going to have all this junk. So let's get back to the last couple things I'll show before we end out this video, which has gotten to be a little long. This truck behind me is a, like I said, I work out of these, normally I work out of these 2 bays, and the rest of the bays I store my shit in. Unfortunately, this truck's been here for a couple of years. I bought this truck with the all intentions of fixing what's wrong with it, and this was going to be my daily driver. But I got into it deeper, kind of like I do with all my junk, and it took on a whole new animal. So I bought that red-white one that I shared earlier in the video, and that's my daily, or I daily that Bronco. But this one here is a 96 F-150, 8-foot bed truck, 5.8 full drive, power window, power lock, AC, tilt cruise truck. I've done just about everything that these OBS trucks are known for. I have done it, bought it, or still in boxes. Kind of went overboard. So now I'm just going to keep it as a toy. I'm going to do a 6-inch lift with 35, 12, 50, 15 tires. Kind of old schoolish. Kind of like what I liked when I was younger. And just have it as a daily. It's old enough I can put it on my antique insurance and just drive it whenever. Now I don't need it as a daily. So that's what's going to happen with that project. Most of the stuff's here for it. I just got to get around to working on it. This, I see a lot of guys say, I only like Fords. 60 Chevy Apache pickup. I've owned this thing for about 15 years. It is an original V8 truck. That is not the original motor. Unfortunately, the original motor was gone, but I do have all the original air cleaner, fan shroud, all the stuff that's correct to this truck. That is a 354 volt. It's just a bone stock, fresh motor. It even actually has the original intake carb on this motor, which is kind of cool. It does. I did have it running quite a few years ago, so hopefully it'll still be okay. It's been sitting for way too long. I need to finish it. And it's just going to kind of be, I kind of want to do it like a shop truck. So I'm going to leave a little rattiness to it. Somebody put rocker panels in it, and they were all crooked. So when the doors were closed, they looked terrible. So I started cutting the rockers out of it 6-7 years ago. And then I found that the lower door jamb on the passenger side was rotted out, and I kind of stopped fooling with it. I did manage to buy a door jamb from a guy in California, and he cut it off the truck and he shipped it to me. So I have a piece of door jamb to fix this side and just get it back together. All this front sheet metal I bought probably 10 years ago. So these inner fender wells, this Rad Sport, the fenders, it's all brand new. I kind of went crazy because at the time I was going to do this full-blown restoration, but I'm to the point where I just want to put it together. So I want to just get the truck to where it runs and drives, and I'll show you the other truck inside, which is kind of what I want to do with it. So we'll walk to the other side. I kind of want to do that 60 Chevy like I did with this 66 Ford pickup. The 66 Ford pickup I've owned for probably 6-7 years now. 460 C6 trans. It's got a 410 gear in it, which is the worst part about this truck. But I'm kind of going to do that 60 Chevy like this. This is a driver. None of my stuff, with the exception of this truck over here, none of my stuff is perfect. And I don't want it perfect. I want to be able to get in it, drive it, run the wheels off it, drive in the rain, drive in the snow, whatever. I don't care. I want to drive this stuff. This is actually a really solid truck. I bought this truck when I sold a truck to a guy. I sold a truck to a guy 6, 7, 8 years ago, somewhere around there. And when I delivered the truck, this was sitting there. Obviously, it wasn't lettered up, and obviously wasn't, the shape that it's in. And I ended up selling the truck and buying the truck. So I ended up taking the truck out, bringing the truck back in. It's what happens. This had a 352 V8, 3-speed on the column. I got low mileage 460 with a C6 trans, and that's what I put in it. Took the 2-piece dry shaft out, put a single dry shaft in it, did all the brakes, the brake lines, and got the truck up and running and tagged. Drove it a bunch of times, then I moved here, and I caught a red light ticket. And in my state, when you get a red light ticket, if you don't pay the red light ticket, you can't renew your tags. I've been arguing with them about the red light ticket. Well, I think I just need to pay the red light ticket. They're not going to do anything about it. So I'm going to pay the red light ticket, go get the truck re-inspected, I can drive it. But it will start right up, and you can go down the road with it. Last but not least are these two. These two, well, that one doesn't get driven nearly as much as this. That truck I special ordered from Ford. That's a 2018 F-150 5.0, four-wheel drive, leveling kit, 34-inch tires, and 373 gears. I brought that truck home with 10 miles on it. It now has 7,000. You heard that right, 7,000. This 52 Ford pickup probably has more miles put on it in a year than I put on that truck since I bought it. This truck is my 52 Ford pickup. Obviously, it's a Ford. You can tell by looking at it. It's got a 302 in it. It's got a 3-speed automatic with FMX trans, is what they call that trans. It's got a 9-inch rear with a 273 gear. The motor's got a bunch of stuff done to it, but I have a motor on the other side of the shop that's going to go into this truck. I don't know, maybe this spring we'll get it in. I've only been talking about putting a motor in for the last couple of years. The motor that's in this truck was a temporary motor I put in about 6-7 years ago when the other 302 that was in it broke a ring, broke a piston. Something happened to it, and I just started getting this terrible blow-by. We're coming back from the beach one weekend, and it took me 5 quarts of oil to get it home because it was blowing it out. blowing it out the vent into the air cleaner and puddling up in the intake. And then when the intake would get all puddled up, it'd run down the exhaust and smoke the whole cab up. So we pulled over a couple of times going, what the hell's going on? We shoved a bunch of rags on the intake, me and my buddy. And then we realized that it's a ton of blow-by. So something, I never even pulled the motor apart. I pulled the heads on it and it had such a nasty ridge at the top of all the cylinders. I said, to hell with it, it's going to need to be bored. So I pulled the motor out, and the motor that's in this truck now was a motor that I had for another project. And it's a 10-to-1. I don't even remember what cam is in it. It's got a bunch of head work done to it. It's got a gear drive. It's just, it's too much for what the truck is now. It was fine with the old gear in it. But now it has a 273 gear with all this camshaft and all, it really wants to convert us, because sometimes when you come to a red light, it wants to stay in second gear and you got to bump the throttle and it'll drop down into first. Never did that before with the old motor, but it does it with this one because it has no vacuum at idle. Trans has a vacuum modulator, so it's got hardly any vacuum. So it is what it is. Every year I say I'm going to put this other motor in. I got a 94, 95 roller 302 out of a Mustang that I bought from a guy. Super low mileage motor. I cleaned it up, resealed it, and painted it up, and I'm just going to stick it in the truck. I'm not really worried about it. I just want to get back to a stock motor with just a little 2-barrel carb. This is a cruiser. This truck gets driven. I mean driven. I drive this truck 2-3 hours from here in any direction. I'm not scared to drive this truck, even with this motor in it. I mean, it's just a little hopped up, but I know what it does. So when you come to a light, you sometimes got to pay attention. Did it fall into first? When you take off from a light, you'll feel it. It'll drop back down into first on its own. But it is what it is. But it's a nice little driver. It's nothing really spectacular. It's got a keg. That's the fuel tank. And then this old cooler, just store stuff in there and drinks and stuff. But it's just a little pickup. For some reason, I just love this truck. It's definitely one of my favorites out of most of my vehicles. Although, you know, I am very into the this 65, 66 is one of my favorite body styles, along with my OBS trucks. But this little truck is just a fun truck to drive. Now the seat's kind of interesting. The seat is the third row seat out of a Dodge Caravan or Town and Country minivan, either one. That's what the seat's out of. I made my own brackets for it, and the seat fits perfect. It's the right width, because the cab is real small in these trucks. I rewired this truck, redid all the brakes on this truck. It's all stock suspension. It's got still has a solid axle in it, still has drum brakes. And I know a lot of guys, oh, Mustang 2, do this, do that. Truck drives and stops just fine. It's not a race truck. It's a cruiser. It does ride a little rough. I have a 53 Ford pickup, which I did not show because it's in a building out back. And believe it or not, that 53 is a solid axle truck, and it rides better than this. This does ride a little rough. But, you know, it's part of the fun. That's why I left it that way. I wanted that old truck beat you up feeling to it, you know. If I'm going to drive 6-7 hours away, then I'll take that new truck. But for car show stuff, and that's the fender for the Ranchero that I showed earlier. So, you know, that's pretty much it for the newcomers to the channel. Mostly what I talk about is truck stuff, OBS Fords, or anything interesting, motor, four-wheel drive, anything interesting of that nature. I am going to share a lot of these projects that I do on the channel. Hopefully you guys will get something out of it. Maybe you'll enjoy it. I know this video is a little lengthy. This here is the 5.8 motor for the Bronco that I was talking about earlier. It's just a stock 5.8 that I pulled out of a truck that ran and drove. I resealed this motor. It's got new water pump, timing chain, oil pump, you know, all that jazz. Resealed it, painted it, cleaned it up. This is going to find its way into the Bronco that I was talking about earlier, that I'm going to share on the channel as I go along on that project. I'll bring you guys along. Maybe you guys get something out of it. If you're into these Ford trucks like I'm into, then this is a spot for you. Or if you're into junk, this might be a spot for you to watch some junk. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, I hope nobody thinks I'm just bragging. I ain't bragging. I'm just a poor guy like the rest of everybody else. I went to work technically 2 jobs to afford this junk. I could probably have $1 million house at the beach if I had known all this junk. So look, holla at your boy. Keep it reals. Catch me on the next one. Deuces.